Ava Carter was 28 years old when she realized that sometimes the people closest to you know exactly how to hurt you the most. She was standing at Gate C-17 in Los Angeles International Airport, holding her tote bag and waiting to board what she thought was just a normal flight back home with her family. The atmosphere was calm, routine, nothing unusual, until her mother leaned closer and said softly, "Sweetheart, didn't you check your bag? You don't have your ticket anymore." At first, Ava thought she had misheard, but when she looked down at her hands, the boarding pass was gone. Her heart skipped as she quickly opened her bag, searching frantically, but it wasn't there. "No, I just had it," she said, her voice shaking slightly. She looked up, expecting concern, but instead she saw something else, calmness. Her father, Richard, stepped forward in line without hesitation. Her younger sister, Chloe, avoided her eyes. And her mother simply gave her a quiet smile, as if everything was already decided. Panic rose in Ava's chest as she stepped forward, trying to stop them, but Chloe brushed past her shoulder a little too hard, muttering a quick apology that didn't feel real. Seconds later, a loud alarm rang through the terminal. Security rushed toward her, voices loud and urgent, hands grabbing her bag. Ava tried to explain, but everything moved too fast. When they pulled out the passport, her world stopped. It wasn't hers, it was stolen. She turned toward the gate, her eyes desperately searching for her family, hoping they would come back, say something, fix this, but they didn't. They scanned their boarding passes and walked away, leaving her behind as if she meant nothing. Inside the detention room, the air was cold and heavy, the glass walls making everything feel even more exposed. Anyone else might have broken down, but Ava didn't cry. She sat still, forcing herself to think. As a forensic accountant, she had spent years solving problems by understanding patterns, and now she applied that same logic to her situation. Her passport was missing, a stolen one had been planted in her bag, and it had been reported missing just a day ago, meaning she would be held for at least 48 hours. The number echoed in her mind, and then it clicked. Her grandmother's trust fund, worth $3 million, was set to be released the next day. She remembered a clause hidden deep in the documents: if she couldn't be contacted within a certain time frame, temporary control would shift to her parents. Ava leaned back slowly, the realization settling in. This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. They didn't just want her delayed, they needed her gone long enough to take control of everything she had. And what hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal, but the understanding that this had likely been building for years. Every time she had sacrificed for them, every time she had fixed their problems, every time she had been called the strong one, they were shaping her into someone they could rely on. But never truly respect. But instead of breaking, something inside Ava changed. She realized that all those years of being used had also made her sharp, observant, and strong in ways they had never expected. When an opportunity came through a powerful investor named Daniel Hayes, she didn't hesitate. He offered to get her out of custody in exchange for her skills, and Ava agreed, not because she trusted him, but because she understood leverage. Once she returned to New York, everything became clearer. Her family had already started spreading lies, telling people she had suffered a mental breakdown, trying to control the narrative before she could even speak. They weren't just taking her money, they were destroying her reputation. But this time Ava didn't react emotionally. She stayed calm and planned carefully. Using her knowledge and resources, she created a situation that looked like a solution to her parents' problems. They were drowning in debt, desperate for money, and she offered them exactly what they wanted: a quick financial escape. The only condition was that they had to prove they had full authority over the trust, which required them to lie officially and sign legal documents declaring her incapable. Blinded by greed, they agreed without hesitation. They signed everything, not realizing they were crossing serious legal lines. And when everything was in place, Ava walked into the room where they were sitting, confident and relieved, thinking they had won. The moment they saw her, the silence said everything. Ava didn't shout or argue. She didn't need to. The truth was already in front of them. For the first time in her life, she wasn't there to fix their mistakes, she was there to let them face the consequences. Weeks later, Ava stood alone in her apartment, looking out over the city, feeling a kind of peace she had never experienced before. She hadn't won because she took revenge, she had won because she finally chose herself. She understood that real strength isn't about everything silently or sacrificing endlessly for people who don't value you. Real strength is knowing when to step back, when to protect your rights, and when to walk away from relationships that are built on imbalance instead of respect. Because a family is not just about being connected, it's about fairness, honesty, and responsibility toward one another. Without these, the relationship may continue, but its true meaning is lost. So now the question is simple: if you were in Ava's place, would you have forgiven them, or would you have walked away to protect your peace? And in your own life, have you ever been the one everyone depends on, but no one truly understands?